Alright, today we're diving into something really interesting, Fitri world building. It's this really cool framework for anyone who wants to create stories, fictional worlds, but from an ethical, Islamic point of view. So, let's get into how it all works.
Okay, so let's just jump right into the big question, the one every creator faces. It's not just about, drawing cool maps or coming up with magic systems. It's about this. How do you build a world that actually feels alive? A world with a purpose, a world with a soul. That's the real puzzle we're trying to solve here.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. An ethical framework, doesn't that sound kind of restrictive, like it would box you in? But what's so fascinating about this approach is how it totally flips that idea on its head. It says restrictions aren't obstacles at all. They're like riverbanks. Think about it. They don't stop the river, right? They channel it, they give it direction and power, and they guide it all the way to the ocean.
And that idea of guidance leads us right into the very first step of this whole creative journey. We're talking about what happens before you even think about the plot or the characters. You have to answer the most fundamental question there is.
And it all boils down to one thing, identity. The source material we're looking at draws this really stark contrast. On one hand, you have the modern view which kind of treats identity as a performance. The question is, what do I want to portray? It's all about the image you project, and it can change day to day. But on the other hand, you have this Islamic view which sees identity as a deep, unchanging reality. The question isn't what, it's who am I? And in this framework, the answer is solid. You are a creation, a servant of a creator. And everything about who you are and what you're here for flows directly from that single, powerful relationship.
So once you've locked in that core identity, then, and only then, can you start laying the foundation of your world. This is where you define the unbreakable laws. We're talking about the moral and metaphysical physics that govern absolutely everything and everyone in your universe.
And this is such a key point about creativity here. The goal isn't just to, dust off old stories and tell them again. No way. It's about forging completely new narratives, new worlds, new characters that reflect these timeless, universal values and principles, but in a way that feels fresh and totally relevant to us right now.
So, how do you actually build a world that feels coherent and whole? Well, this framework gives you these 5 incredible pillars of unity. Think of them as the load-bearing walls of your story. First, you've got the unity of law and soul. This means the rules of society aren't just some external thing, they're deeply connected to a person's inner life. Then there's the unity of temporal and spiritual power, which means being a king or a leader comes with a heavy spiritual responsibility. Third, the unity of reason and faith, the idea that they aren't enemies, but that they actually lead to one another. Then you have the unity of the natural world and the knower, seeing the world around us as a book of signs, a source of truth. And finally, the unity of ontology and morality. This is the big one. It means that good and evil aren't just opinions. They are woven into the very fabric of reality itself.
Okay, so with that foundation, those 5 pillars firmly in place, now we can open up the metaphysical toolkit. I love this part. What are the actual ingredients you get to play with to build out your world and create really compelling, believable characters?
And this toolkit is just incredibly rich. You've got these core concepts for building your characters like the soul, the ruh, and reason, the aql. But then you also get these tangible forces that can really drive your plot forward. I'm talking about things like angels and jinn, or even those insidious divine whispers of evil, which are known as waswas. See, these aren't just generic fantasy ideas you can drop in anywhere. In this framework, they're super well-defined elements with their own specific rules and roles to play in this reality.
Now, out of all those ingredients, there's one concept that is absolutely central, especially for character development, and that's the nafs. You can think of it as the self or the ego, maybe even the psyche. It's that core part of us that struggles, the part that deals with temptations, and also has this incredible, immense capacity for spiritual growth.
And here's what's so brilliant for a storyteller. The nafs isn't just one single thing. It exists in different states that are basically ready-made character arcs just waiting for you to use them. A character could start out at the level of the nafs al-amara. This is the animalistic self, totally driven by unchecked desires and impulses. But then, they could grow into the nafs al-lawama, which is the blaming self. This is the person who knows they're doing wrong, they feel guilty, but they're still struggling. And the ultimate goal, the peak of the character's journey, is to reach the nafs al-mutmainna, the tranquil, serene self that's finally at peace with its creator.
This journey of the self brings us right to the ethical heart of this whole framework. If the nafs gives us the map for the character's journey, what are the principles that guide their actions? What shapes their society? This is really the moral architecture of the world you're building.
And the highest possible standard here is a concept called ihsan, or excellence. And it's just this incredibly profound idea of serving God as though you see Him. And if you do not see Him, then know that He sees you. It's not about being afraid. It's about this deep desire to strive for perfection and absolute sincerity in every single thing you do, whether anyone is watching or not.
So what does that kind of righteousness actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, it's beautifully and powerfully simple. Righteousness is good character. That's it. It's not just about a checklist of rules. It's about cultivating those inner virtues: honesty, humility, kindness, compassion, from the inside out.
And this next principle has a huge impact on how your society functions. The power of speech is taken so seriously here. It's all summed up in this one piece of advice: speak good or remain silent. Just think about that. It's such a simple rule, but it has these massive implications for building a society that's free from gossip, from slander, from just negativity.
And here's another piece of advice, just as concise and just as powerful. Do not be angry. You know, when the prophet was asked over and over again for the best piece of guidance, his response was often this simple command. It just highlights how crucial self-control is. It's the foundation for your own inner peace and for harmony in the community.
Okay, so this is the crucial point that holds this entire moral system together. It's the concept of intention, or niyyah. An action's true worth, its real value in this world, isn't judged by the final outcome, but by the inner motivation, the intention behind it. This is a game changer for storytelling. You could have two characters do the exact same thing, but if their intentions are different, the meaning and the consequence of that act are worlds apart.
So, we've looked at the foundation, we've opened the toolkit, we've seen the moral architecture. But why? What's the ultimate point of all this? What's the purpose of telling a story this way? Why does the world you've so carefully built need to exist?
And the answer lies in one final, absolutely beautiful concept: the Fitrah. The Fitrah is described as the pure, natural state that every single human being is born with. It's this innate knowledge of our Creator, an inner compass that points towards goodness and truth. The source material says it's something we can forget or cover up over time, but we can never truly lose it.
And that is the ultimate goal. The whole entire purpose of creating a world using these principles is to tell a story so true, so powerful, so resonant, that it awakens that forgotten Fitrah within your audience. It's about crafting something that goes way beyond simple entertainment. It's about connection and ultimately about remembrance.
So, a story told this way really has a threefold mission. First, it acts as a reminder of a connection to the divine that maybe we've forgotten about. Second, it's an invitation. It's for anyone out there who feels like there's a void in their life, who's searching for meaning. And finally, it serves as a demonstration, a way to show that true reality, a reality filled with purpose and meaning, is actually far more profound and awe-inspiring than any fantasy we could ever dream up.
So, we end right back where we started. But now, you have the tools. Your story isn't just a story, it's a world. It has laws, it has people, it has a purpose. And the only question left for you is, what will you build?